Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's daily recap on Friday, June 19th. I'm Evan Lazarus, CEO of T3 Live, and I'm going to wrap things up for you. The market pulling back today, and I don't think that should be a surprise. I talked about that in today's morning call in the pre-market, and this is kind of typical after you get a large run, and I'd say it's even more typical of market action as of late. We know, where sellers have lived for the most part. In this upper range is really where the market's had just a real tough time. And on the flip side, as we go into the near term, the market's definitely had some buyers in this area. So we're living in this very, very tight zone, and the trade has been very fragmented. You're getting lots of back and forth, in this general range that kind of ping pongs. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some follow through, next week, even a bit of a further pullback here. I think what the market does kind of in the middle, the median range here, will be the true test of are we going to get out of this range, whether it is to the upside or the downside. The short term, you could make the argument that there's, a head and shoulders pattern at play here. You still have left and right potential lower highs on each side. Although it's fairly nominal, it is still definitely something that should be evaluated. Now, what's interesting about a head and shoulders pattern, obviously, it's a short-term reversal pattern. But the truth of it is, it has to break support, and support's way down there. So, that trade, if it does play out, you're going to see it happen over the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trading days, whatever it may be. Overall, if we kind of go out and we look through a wider lens, the market is still doing what the market is doing. And I know that that's a really just brutal way to say that, the market's been just completely fragmented and choppy. So while we look through the lens of the indexes, obviously for those that trade stocks and are stock specific, you can't, you don't want to get caught up in this. So you got to focus on individual names that are doing individual things unto themselves. And there is a lot of back and forth in this market. There's been opportunity in names like cyber and some of the cybersecurity names. For short-term, cash flow type trades. FireEye. I know that Scott in various morning calls and in his Redler All Access morning note has talked about this. Doug Robertson in the Options Strategist Service has been in a couple of these trades. Jeff Cooper's been in a couple of these trades. In terms of cybersecurity, there's been content in the Buzz and Banner written about Hack, the ETF. So there's been lots of content that we've kind of pumped out there in various services that we offer for trade ideas, different ways to approach different trades, especially in this particular place, as well as, biotech. And biotech has been an area where you've seen lots of off the beaten path names like ZIOP, have select trades in them. And if you go and you read through Scott's morning note, he's got a whole bunch of stuff listed here. And then yesterday in the IBB, obviously you saw that big, huge, that big breakout on volume above what's been this, kind of brick wall of resistance in the last, 2 or 3 months. So you saw a lot of names in biotech, obviously. Not much follow through today, but this is typical. This is typical price action. And it's actually, relatively bullish as you didn't see sellers come in and try to drive price down or any sort of reversal. Apple, I would say, is the notable laggard. Usually Apple is the kind of stock historically, and when I say historically, 5, 6 years, 7 years, whatever, that has been leading the charge. And in terms of tech, so goes Apple, so goes the market. I've said that for a long time. Apple, notable relative weakness here. And you didn't really see buyers step in yesterday and sellers coming in today and driving the stock down. So pretty bearish short-term price action here. And as we kind of widen the lens in Apple, and again, Apple's been sort of that benchmark name, gets a lot of media attention. A lot is written about it. A lot of trades. A lot of money's been made in this stock. Has made a lot of millionaires for a bunch of people, but it's been in this really tight range, and you can see, resistance here at multiple spots, kind of, coming into play. So, could it be making a run here for this lower end, the the 122, 123 area. And if it does, pick up beneath there, then you could see a trade back into this next support zone down around, the 10, let's call it 106 to 110 area. So, keep that on the radar for next week. And obviously Apple gets, it's a heavily weighted stock. It's a heavily institutionally owned stock, and it commands a lot of attention and eyeballs. So, could be an interesting dichotomy there developing in that stock. Netflix, another, momentum name that's been obviously a great trade in several spots, breaking out through resistance here and then, again for cash flow here, gapping up this morning and selling off. So like I said in the morning call, and I did talk on this stock for a second, just because it's acted well, it looks to me like the stock could be running out of steam here. So, when you approach next week, again, this is a stock that has gone very far, very fast, and could be in need of a rest. And as we go out to a higher time frame, could look to pull back. Certainly into test into the first area of support would be down in that 580 area. So just kind of keep that on the radar going into next week. And again, it's not that I'm saying short a strong stock. I am suggesting that stocks that have had, very bullish runs and very bullish composure, some of them, you might see some of the winds changing there. I think in this market right now, you really need to be very, very tactical. I've said that for weeks and months, and it's not that that's a new concept. I say that all the time, actually. But I'd say right now it is a very selective tape. So when you approach the trading day, make sure you're consuming information. And I think what we've done a really good job of is provide you with select trade ideas, whether it's, like I said, in Redler's All Access or off the charts, which I write, or Doug's Option Strategist newsletter, or Cooper's newsletter, or, commentary that happens intraday on our virtual trading floor. There is so much idea generation and tactical trades, that we try to find every single day, every single week. Really try to do your homework when diving into T3 or T3 Live Services, because there's a lot of opportunity out there, in my opinion. It's select and sometimes it's shorter than you want. Maybe it's 3 days here, 2 days here. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. But in this market, like I said, you have to be highly selective in where and what and when you get involved, and even to some extent how you're getting involved. Plan your trades before you get in them. Usually depending on the time frame you're trading, you're either going to be in it for 3 days. If you're trading off of a weekly, it could be a few weeks, it could be a month. So really understand the nature by what you're by what and how you approach this trading market. I know that because I write off the charts, and we've had a lot of short ideas out there yesterday, and clearly the market got a big push yesterday. I saw a lot of frustrated people. But there is, selective opportunities out there that if you're, watching closely and you have a good watch list, you have, the Yahoos of the world breaking down, and the Alibabas of the world breaking down, and, the Apples of the world acting weak, and the Pricelines of the world acting. So it is a very much a selective market. The Walmarts of the world, have been selling off. But then on the flip side, you have, the Chinese names, NetEase and Sina and biotech. So there is something for everybody in this market, and that's the beauty of this market. It is a trader's market. You can be on both sides and be profitable on both sides of the trade, and not really worry about whether the index is going up or going down, because stocks and select sectors have their own agendas here. With that, I want everybody to have a great weekend. Just a quick recap for today. It was a pretty quiet day, relative to what we saw yesterday, and I don't think we should be surprised by the pullback here today is typically after a 4-day move off lows, and as we look at here's a 30-minute chart, just a smaller time frame. After kind of testing that low and giving you that move up, it looks like we found a little bit of resistance again. At an area where resistance has been extremely prominent, right? You just look to the left, and you're going to see that, like I say, in this area, and it's not an exact science, you have several turning points from where the market, traded up in here and just couldn't hold. So I don't think that should be too much of a surprise. And the market continues to kind of just, like I say, sit and live in this range. And until we really convincingly get out of this range, I know we tried, a few weeks back up here, but didn't quite, get any buyers to step in. You have to just respect the language and the price action for what it is. I know it can be frustrating. I know traders want new highs. They want breakouts. We want trending. It's just not there right now. So you're getting pockets, but the pockets are short-lived. So that's the name of the game. That's the name of the trade right now until it's not. Have a nice weekend, everybody, and I'll talk to you next week.